Hi, mamas, and welcome to episode 4 of Moms with Moms. If you're new here, go grab your coffee cup because we're about to have a bestie vent session. Today, I have Samantha with me.
Hi.
She also brought me some really great goodies. I have a nice little cool keto drink in here that I'm going to pour, and I'm going to ask her to kind of give it away. Go ahead, tell us about yourself and what you're drinking.
Absolutely. So, hi guys. My name is Samantha Demick. Um, hate keto diet because that's absolutely not what this is. But basically, it is a quick way to get into ketosis completely naturally. So, the benefits of ketosis, if you don't know, which most people need to do strict keto to get into, um, believe it or not, we are actually animals. So back in the day when we had to actually not have Starbucks on every corner, we had to fend for food. So our bodies were actually built to feed on ketones. So your brain is designed to fuel off ketones. Your body is designed to fuel off fat, not carbs and sugar and processed food, which is most of the Western diet. So what this is, it's an all-natural supplement. It has no artificial flavoring, ingredients, chemicals, preservatives, anything like that that puts your body into a state of ketosis in an hour or less. So you're getting all the benefits of ketosis without basically all the strict macros. So as a mom, I stumbled across ketones in COVID. I have really, really bad anxiety and depression, PTSD. I have a lot of this is not a medical claim. I should probably make that really.
Yes.
Let's start with I'm not a doctor and this is not a medical claim. But I do have all of those things. I am diagnosed. And when COVID hit, I got really stressed out. I was working my full-time job for the state. I had a second grader and an infant that was 6 months old. And
During COVID?
when like the minute it shut down, and all of a sudden I was like, there's actually a picture of me with my baby in a backpack. And I'm at my island and I'm like taking a meeting and I'm also nursing and I'm like doing all these crazy things. And I really lost it. And I got really, really depressed. I like didn't want to get out of bed. And finally, thankfully, my husband is like stern. And he was like, listen, oh, sorry. He was like, you know what? Like you can't do this. Like we are in this together. Like we're both stuck in this house. We have to take care of these kids. Like you got to get out of bed. And I had been following this girl who was drinking these ketones. And I was like, what's $40? I ain't going anywhere. Like, we can't leave our house.
Yeah.
So I bought a trial pack. And honestly, the rest is history. I've lost 55 pounds and maintained it. But more importantly, like, I feel like my mood is better. I'm more patient with my kids. I have more energy, more focus. And I'm getting the nutrition that I need. And everything that I've learned about what your brain actually fuels on, like dementia, there's so many. I could go down a whole science rabbit hole, but it's actually fueling my body with the vitamins that I need. I feel amazing. And I feel like I'm aging backwards, not to brag, but.
So if you're new here, what we're going to talk about this is all taboos with pregnancy, postpartum, and parenthood. So actually, Samantha and I kind of got to talking, and everybody knows about woman empowerment, but I don't think anybody really knows about mom empowerment. So we're going to talk about mom empowerment and following your dreams while also being a mom and not losing yourself. So take it away.
Yeah, so this is actually, I was so excited that you invited me, so thank you.
Oh, thank you for joining.
It's something I'm super passionate about because, and this is like, I have a large team that this is the first thing I train them on because I work with a lot of moms in this business who are either staying home with their kids or need to supplement income. I mean, let's be honest, we're in a freaking recession, so everybody needs extra money. And the biggest thing that they say is, I'm like, okay, who are you? Like, that's my first task, right? Like, who are you? And they're like, I'm a mom. I'm like, cool, what else? And they're like, and they can't think of anything beyond that. And I'm like, you don't end at mom. You don't end at woman. You don't end at wife. Like, you are a whole person outside of that. And so when I have them do this exercise, the first thing that I say is like, picture yourself as an onion. I want you to take away like the first 3 layers, like mom, wife, boss, sister, take all of that away. Who are you in the inside? Like, what makes you feel alive? So all of a sudden, and I have people on my team who might be watching this who are like, oh my God, I forgot I love art, right? They're like, oh, I forgot I love art. I actually have a girl, Victoria, if you're watching, shout out to Victoria, who told me, oh my God, he's so cute. Hey, baby.
Mom life, we have the mom.
Yes,
the
that's
baby
totally
interrupting.
Love it. She was like, I've been married for 7 years and I've never told my husband that I paint. What? She actually painted a whole mural for my office.
And never told him.
Never told him. I'm like, you're incredible at it. Like, what are you talking about? And it's become this like whole self-discovery of like who you are outside of that.
Yeah.
Because you can be a mom and still have aspirations and goals. And I feel like at least my generation growing up, it was like, okay, go to college, get a job, become a wife, and be a mom, and then that's it. Like,
That's all you do.
you just take care of your house, and that's it, and that's all. And I'm like, but wait a second, like, what if I want a career? What if I want a business? And I've always kind of had like an entrepreneur mindset, but because I came from where I came from, it was like impossible.
Yeah.
And so when I found this business, it took off really quickly. And I'm like, wow, I'm actually really good at this. Like, I actually have a really good business brain. Like, my brain operates this way. I'm constantly creating new ideas and thinking things. And then it became like this balancing act, right? Of like, how do you be a mom and also be an entrepreneur? And then all of a sudden, this like guilt kicks in, right? So one of the things that you had asked me was like, what makes it hard?
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that popped in my head was that guilt. Like, there is a mom guilt. And I have been so blessed in this business. Like, I have traveled all around the country. I've been to Mexico. I've been all over doing this business. And I'm not going to lie, when I'm out doing it and I'm by myself, I had this guilt of like, oh my God, my family's home. My husband has to get the kids off to school. But I'm like, why does it have to be me to get the kids off to school? Like, just because I'm the girl? Like, wait a second. And thankfully, he's super supportive and understanding, but it wasn't always that way. Like, in the beginning, it was like a little bit of an adjustment. His mom was definitely like a stay-at-home mom his whole life, and he was very used to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it took a little bit of getting used to and me getting over the guilt until I actually like sat down and thought about it. And I'm like, okay, so I can sit here and feel guilty for traveling and growing and expanding my business, or I can change my mindset and look at it like, look at the example I'm setting for my daughter. Like, you can be more, you can do more. And you just have to work really hard. Like,
was it like a light switch that went off in your brain, or was it just like a process? Like, it was a couple over a course of special days. Like, what made you think, okay, I can do this, and this is what I need to do?
It was a bit of a process. So when I had joined this business, it was COVID, so there was like nothing going on. So it was like I had all my energy into this. And then I grew really quickly, and it was like, wow, I can actually do this. Like, and I really love to learn. So I started reading a lot, and I started listening to a lot of podcasts, and I followed Jessie Lee Ward, who RIP passed away in September. But I started listening to all these women who came from the same type of background, and they were like, actually, you can. And I never thought I could. Like, I honestly never thought I could. I thought my only way out of what I came from was college. Like, I thought, okay, get an education. So I got my master's degree, and I still felt so empty. And then I found this in this community, and all of a sudden, like, I started to feel like I had a purpose, and I was winning. Like, I was like, wow, I'm winning. Like, I was doing things for my family that I never thought possible. Aww. Hi, baby.
Special guest.
Hi. I was doing things like I never thought possible. Like, for example, you know, we remodeled our kitchen, like to my dream kitchen, with money that I'd earned from the business. And we put in a patio and a hot tub. And I was like, and those are all material things. But at the same time, like, I felt like I was showing my daughter, like, you can be more, because she literally
older or younger?
She will be 12 in a couple. I know that cry. That's a hunger cry.
Well, he's reaching. When they reach, that means they're ready.
My daughter is actually from a previous relationship, and it was very toxic. We were very heavily using and just very toxic together.
Yeah.
And that seemed normal for me because of what I grew up with. And then I realized, like, no, you know what I mean? So I really want to show her, like, okay, your parents aren't together. I felt like I was showing her, like, you can do more, but it's going to take hard work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't fall in your lap. It doesn't come to you. Like, you have to seek it and want it and have the, like, this burning desire. And I did. I had a burning desire. And I think what really clicked for me when I was like, I can do this, was when I started seeing people on my team win. My mentorship is a thing, and I always loved teaching. So I was like, this is actually something I can do. And then it expanded to other entrepreneurship. Like, so I was like, okay, so if I can do this, like, I could also open a wellness center. I can also do all these things. And it grew and it grew, and my belief in myself grew, which came with a lot of self-development, honestly. Yeah, it came with a lot of self-development, and I never did self-development before. I never read self-development. I always thought it was, like, weird. Never really listened to podcasts like yoga, no, like none of that.
Well, because I feel like you have to be ready for it.
You do.
If you're not ready for it, or you're not open to it, and I think that comes with age too.
Absolutely.
I think when you're younger, no offense to anybody who's watching this, that you're in your early 20s, you're not ready to hear that, because you are still growing and you are still developing. I think when you hit a little bit older, you're like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I want to be, but I want to be better. I want to
Yeah.
be the best version of myself. So you're more open to developing into a better self.
You are, but there's always those roadblocks, right?
Oh, always.
Mental roadblocks where you're
Always.
like, it's like imposter syndrome is
Yes.
like what I like to call it, where it's like, so I was like winning on social media, and there were people who knew me from like my past life, like I like to call it, and they're like, look at this bee, like she thinks she's so great driving her Lexus, like we know where you came from, and I'm like, I don't think I'm so great, I think I earned it.
100%.
There's a big difference. Like it wasn't handed to me. Like nobody showed up at my doorstep and was like, "Here's the keys to a Lexus." Like I earned it. I worked really hard.
But because of where you came from, it pushed you to be where you are today.
Absolutely. There's no plan B.
No.
Right? So I never had a plan B. It was, and thankfully I had a super supportive husband who like never looked at me like trailer trash. I guess you could say, like he knew my past, he knew all the things I've been through, but like he never looked at me that way. And I think that like really drove me, because if he was like my ex who constantly reminded me
of your past.
Yeah, it would have probably like that imposter syndrome would have stuck. And when I shifted my mindset, it changed my entire life. It really did.
So you do your business,
Mhm.
you're a mom, and you also work full time.
I do work full time for the state.
How do you find time to be you? Like you said in the beginning, is figuring you out. I know your business is you.
Yep.
But there's so many other things that are you too.
Yes.
So
With my
how
yoga.
do you find all of it? Yes.
Yeah. So it's really intentional. So I treat my life like a job, basically, 24/7. I'm very intentional with my time, and we all have the same 24 hours. How we spend it is up to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I always challenge people to do when they're thinking about their time is I always say, take the next 48 hours of your life, and all of those blank moments where you find yourself mindless, like scrolling or just sitting and watching Netflix, or, you know, you're making Netflix money, or, you know what I mean? Like all of those things, document that. And you'd be surprised how many pockets of time you have. But I don't believe in balance. So that's like a big thing. Like I don't think there's such thing as balance. I think there is a thing about creating balance and being very intentional with it. So when I'm with my family, I'm with my family, and my group, my customers, my team, they know it. I go and focus at 9:00. My phone goes on do not disturb every single night. Sundays in my house are football Sunday. If I want to work, I will, but mostly I'm cooking. I'm spending time with my family in my sweatpants. Like that's it.
So you're being present.
Being present. And you know what? When you take away that mindless scrolling, like I was talking about, where people are wasting their life on social media, you realize how much more present you are. Because if I'm on my phone, and now my husband understands that, if I'm on my phone, I'm working.
Yes.
I'm not just gossiping or whatever. We're just scrolling. Like he'll never see me sitting on the couch being like, oh my God, did you see Susie got a new job again? Like that doesn't happen. And so, but when I'm in my business, I'm in my business. So like, for example, my team name is called Keto Matrix, and Matrix Monday, he knows every Monday I have to lead a training. I'm with my team. I'm following up. Like Monday nights are my business night.
Yeah.
So he's handling dinner and he's doing other things. But Sundays, when it's football Sunday, like my family knows I'm present. I'm there.
Yes.
If we're at soccer game for my son, like I'm not answering messages. I'm on focus mode. The thing that you have to do is you have to decide how many hours a week you're willing to invest, understanding that's what you're going to get back, right? So if you're like, I'm only willing to give up 2 hours a week, that's what you're going to get out of your business. But if you're like, okay, these are the pockets of windows that I have, I'm going to make the most of them. Like, I'm going to be honest, like I'm dropping links and growing my group while I'm peeing. I like every minute counts in my life. And if you treat it that way and you treat it like a non-negotiable, you can't lose.
Yeah.
Like you just have to decide, and you really got to have the burning desire. You're going to get rich overnight. You know what I mean? And that's not a thing. That's not a thing. There's no business in America where you get rich overnight. The difference is if I was to go open a coffee shop, it would cost me what, $50,000 to start. I'd have to buy cups. I'd have to buy lids. And do you think I'm going to have a line around the block to buy my coffee? No, like you got to build up relationships. You got to build up clientele. And most people don't have that kind of stamina to last and be consistent. And that's the other thing. Like I'm very, very consistent. Business goes up and down. Right now we're in a recession. Business is down because people just don't have money. But I stay consistent. I show up exactly the same when I'm making $20,000 a month and when I'm making $1,000 a month. You know what I mean? Like I show up exactly the same.
Yeah. So if you had to give a mom advice, not just for starting a business, but for mom empowerment, like if a mom says, I can't do this, I can't figure out who I am,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do, what would be like the 3 most important things that you think that they should know?
So the first thing is, like I said, I go back to the exercise.
Yep.
People, women especially, very quickly forget who they are.
Yep.
It's very easy to do because you're so wrapped up in the day to day, right? You wake up, you've got bottles to wash, you've got to pump, you've got to do all these things, and you completely lose who you are.
Yes.
And it just happens naturally.
Because everybody else comes first.
Yes.
You're the last priority.
Yes.
Sometimes not even a priority.
So I have a two-part answer to this. So the first thing is go back to who you are outside of motherhood.
Can you throw me the burp cloth?
And when you ask anyone, like what makes you feel alive, the first thing they're going to say is my kids, my family. Cool. What else? Like that's
what were you before you had a kid?
What were you before kids? Yes. What, like, imagine, this is the best question I like to ask. Imagine time, money, and resources were not an issue. What would you do with your time? How would you spend it?
Yeah.
And when people said, like, well, that would never happen. But what if it did? Like, how would you spend your time? You have to make your self-care is not selfish. That's the biggest thing. Like, that's my go-to.
And it's not showering. I don't care what anybody says.
No, showering is a basic necessity.
It's not eating. It's not eating a hot meal.
Sitting down. Yeah, no.
It's not going to the grocery store by yourself with no kids or no husband. Those are not self-care. People need to know that.
Yes.
If it's something you really, really enjoy, okay, cool. But that's not self-care.
No.
Please know that that is not your form of self-care. And please advocate for yourself that that is not self-care. Because you need more than that. Mm-hmm. When you go to the grocery store, stop and get a coffee on your way home. That right there is self-care. Put that right in there.
And maybe you don't just go through the drive-thru. Maybe you actually go inside and sit down and enjoy your coffee.
Yes.
And for everybody else, everybody is different. Like I said, Victoria, she loves to paint. She likes to do, she's doing, like, I don't know, blanket things. I don't for me, it's my yoga classes. Like, like last night, my husband wasn't feeling well, and I was on my way to yoga, and I had this guilt just, like, come over me, and I'm like, oh, my God, I should be home taking care of the kids, and I'm like, this is my hour. Like, I'm just going to take my hour.
Use an hour.
And the thing is there's no such thing as the term dad guilt. Have you ever heard anybody say dad guilt before?
No.
It's not a freaking thing.
It doesn't exist.
And this, like, gender guilt thing drives me insane. Mm-hmm. It literally makes me crazy. And I think for me, the hardest part was giving up the control that I have to do everything.
Yes.
Like, I have to be the one to cook dinner. I have to be the one to do the dishes. I have to be the one to grocery shop, schedule the doctor's appointments, blah, 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 blah. And I did that for a really long time to the point where I got so burnt out, I almost quit everything. I was like, I can't. There's not enough. I can't do it. And then I was like, you know what? I don't have to do everything. And my biggest message is, like, if you see some, like, crazy celebrity on the news and they're like, how do you do it all? And they're like, I don't know. I just wake up at 4 a.m. and I do Pilates and I pray and I eat, I don't know, pineapple, and then I just go home with my, and I do it all. I clean the house. No, you don't. Stop lying. Like, no, you don't. Okay, so
there's a reason why you're able to do all that. Something changes, something happens. Yeah.
And it's called delegating. And I am all about paying for convenience to get more time, because another thing I learned from Jessie Lee, she's like, think about your time and what it's worth.
Yeah.
And you have to know your own self-worth to really be able to put a dollar amount on that. But is it worth your time to go spend 2 hours at the grocery store? Or can you do a pickup? I hired a cleaning service. Best thing I ever freaking did. That was the first thing I did with my money that I was earning from Prove It, is I hired a cleaning service. I don't want to spend 4 hours on Saturday cleaning my house. Mm-hmm. I could be earning more money than it cost me to pay her to do that. So it's a mindset shift and getting over that guilt, right? And I've had people, like, from my past be like, oh, she's so bougie. Look at her. She's got a cleaning lady now. I'm like, yeah. Like, it must be nice. I'm like, it's great. It's amazing. It's so nice. I'm like, I love it. But I know that what I pay her, I can earn more if I'm working those hours, or if I'm building my business, or if I want to spend time with my family.
So you're being mindful of your time and your energy.
Yeah. And it's all about delegation. And, I can't do everything. So I might say to my husband, like, you got to go to the doctor's today. I have to go to work. Like, you got to take the kid to the doctor's appointment. It doesn't have to be me just because I'm the girl. It doesn't have to work that way. And he gets that. Like, he knows. And he knows I'm really passionate about it. But not everybody has that.
If someone didn't have that, what would be your suggestion? Like, how could they make that work when they don't have someone who either understands or they're a single mom?
Yes. So there are a lot of people who don't have support, and I was a single mom for 3 years, so I totally get it. The key is to set yourself a schedule and stick to it, right? So let's say you're just you and you have no one else. Your time that you can commit in a week to yourself might be less than someone who has help, but it's still time.
Okay.
You might only get a half hour versus an hour, but if you don't take that half hour, you're going to burn out and build resentment. And that's when, like, other mental health You know what I mean? Like, that's when you start to feel depressed. That's when you start to feel like,
I can't do all of this.
I
How can I
can't
do
do
it
all
all?
of this. And you also start to, like, I know me personally, and like, this is something that doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion. I personally felt resentful towards my babies. Like, after I had them and I was like, not necessarily, I don't know if resentful is the right word, but like almost regretful. Like, maybe I
Yes.
shouldn't have done this. Maybe I wasn't
I'm
ready for
not
this.
ready for
I'm not ready
this.
for this.
I thought I was.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I remember looking at my baby and being like, oh my God, you're never going away. And feeling so freaking guilty about that. That I literally went to a mall parking lot, cried for like an hour and a half. And I'm like, what kind of mother thinks that? And I'm like, but you can't, like, there's no book. Like, you know, the baby doesn't come out with a book that's like, okay, every time they do this, here's the magic trick.
And every baby's different.
Every baby's different.
Yes.
And not everybody has help. I never had help with my kids, like paternal help or grandparent help, you know what I mean? Other than, thankfully, my husband has amazing parents, but like, that wasn't a thing. So it's like, you're looking at this baby and you're like, oh my God, you're not leaving.
And you also seem like someone who's very independent. So even if you did have those supports, you're gonna wait till the last possible minute to
Yes.
lean onto those supports because you want to do it.
Yes.
You know you can do it.
Yes.
But you're like, wait a minute, I can do this. I don't need help. But sometimes you do.
Yeah, sometimes you do. And I think that's the hardest part for most women is asking for the help.
Realizing you need the help.
Asking for the help. And like, there's nothing wrong with asking for the help or delegating.
No.
There really isn't. And I remember feeling super, super guilty about that. Like, what's wrong with me that I can't do it all? Because I only have 24 hours and I'm only one person. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And like, this whole stigma because you're the vagina. You know what I mean?
And
like,
you're supposed to do it all.
You're supposed to do it all. And I've had many freakouts, trust me, in my house where I'm like, somebody will be like, there's no food here. And I'm like, somebody else can order groceries. You know, like,
somebody else can cook.
Somebody else can figure it out. Or what's for dinner? I've had more than one freak out about that. Like,
cereal.
Yo, you're on your own. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You're not going to starve to death. I'm sure you'll figure it out. But you just, I don't know. It's about setting boundaries. I really do think it's about setting boundaries. And understanding that you're a whole person. You're a whole person. Like, you are a whole ass person.
I think it's important, too, is generational. There's lots of differences, too. Mm-hmm. Is like, the moms did do it all. Mm-hmm. They stayed home. They did everything. They cooked. They cleaned. They provided what needed to be for the home. But now women are working. Mm-hmm. Women are doing multiple jobs. So it's got to be different. Like, there's got to be that shift. But we're still stuck in the generation of, well, my mom did this.
Yes.
My mom's mom did this.
Mm-hmm.
His mom's mom did this. Mm-hmm. So I have to do this.
Absolutely.
So I think, again, that's what this whole point is talking about it more and letting moms know, like, you are not alone. We both have experienced the same exact thing, and we have 2 different kids. Like, I have a 5-month-old, and she has 2 older kids. Again, how old are your kids?
She'll be 12 this month and 4.
Okay, so
big gap.
She's already experienced it, and she's in a different realm. So, like, it's so common. It's so real. Like, you're not alone. Stop worrying about what the generation says. Stop worrying about what society says. Do what's best for you as mom and what you think is best.
Absolutely. And I feel like my biggest piece of advice that like really changed my life, honestly, and it's going to sound super morbid, but I'm just going to be honest, like,
let's hear it,
is understanding that like we're all going to die. Like, like, it's a mortality thing. And I guarantee you that when I'm dead and gone, those people who are about me, who are making judgments on me, and I have people still who make judgments on me. Like, they see me traveling and and like, okay, let's be honest, like, social media is my gateway for my business. It's my platform. So when I'm posting me traveling and me at all these events, like right now my team's actually in Boston at an event and I didn't go, I would be blasting that on social media because it's all the fun. And people are like, oh, look at her. She's leaving her family. She's traveling all over. Like, she's living her best life, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, but when I'm dead and gone and you're dead and gone, does any of that matter?
No.
No, because you're not paying my bills.
And like you said, you're present with your family when you're with your family.
And nobody knows that. I don't feel the need to explain that to anybody.
You don't know that.
I don't know that to anybody because the problem is that people, this is my favorite quote of all time, again, from Jessie Lee, I have never seen a hater doing better than me. Mm-hmm. And it's absolutely true. No one's ever going to talk you if they're winning, right? Yes. The people who are going to talk about you are the people who are sitting home wishing they were doing more. Mm-hmm. And you see what you see on the highlight reels, but you don't see what goes on in my house. And I personally am when I'm home, I'm home. When I'm in my business, I'm in my business. And trust me, there have been times where I have closed the door on my 4-year-old and been like, I am working. And he goes to his dad. And there's a second where I'm like, like a little cringy, in my daughter's words, cringy. But then I'm like, no, this is for a reason. The reason that I have to close that door on him is the reason why we're going to Montana to Yellowstone next year. Yeah. It is the reason why I'm putting money away for your college. It is the reason why you're going to have a better life than I had. And you might not realize it today, but you will.
But then you're also teaching them, too, is like you don't get the attention every single time that you need it.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not always available. Like that's just what it is. I'm not a stay-at-home mom. I never had a desire to be that. Ever. I don't know why. I think it's just my entrepreneur brain. I always wanted to be a career. And in the beginning, it was to prove to people. And now it's to provide. Yeah. So it's a big difference versus proof of pride. And trust me, people are always going to talk good or bad. Like the minute you forget about that, and I just got into the mindset where I'm like, no publicity is bad publicity. Talk about me, post about me, share it. like share me all day. Like no publicity is bad publicity. The more people I reach, the more people I help.
Let you follow that, like you said, do it all and show you that they're doing it all. You're only seeing a snippet of what they show you.
It's not real. And like to your point, like there are my downtimes. And honestly, I think that's part of the reason why I've been successful is that, and this was like my biggest piece of advice to people, authenticity will make you rich. Yep. Because when the minute that you start becoming your authentic self and not giving a is the minute it gets easy.
That's literally what we said today.
Literally.
I just want you to be the most authentic that you are.
She said that. I was like, thank you, because that's when it gets easy. You're not trying. You're not faking. You're not trying to live up to some lie. And I think 90% of the people I see on social media when I was a scroller are trying to prove to people that they're living this amazing life, and vice versa, where I will literally go live in my group and I will be like full blown tears, no makeup, and be like, today sucked. Yeah. Like today sucked. I failed at everything and today sucked. And then people will message me and they'll be like, thank you.
Today sucked for me too.
Yeah, today sucked for me too. Thank you for being real. I can't even tell you how many people have came to me and said, thank you for just being real. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Because I'm like, if I'm having a good day or a bad day, you're going to know. Like, because you know I don't have to try. Like, I don't have to fake anything. I'm not going to get on there and be like, today was perfect. And in the meantime, I'm fighting with my husband, my kids being in like, whatever. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah.
Today I'm not having a good day.
Today I'm not having, my 4-year-old is being a jerk and he's driving me nuts. You're like, oh my God, she said that about, there's half and half, right? There's the half that'll be like, she said that about her kid. And there's the half they're like, thank you, so is mine.
But it doesn't mean you don't love your kid.
Yeah, I love him to death.
You can regret having your kid at moments, but that doesn't mean you don't love your kid.
Yes.
And you don't want to take that kid away.
Yes.
You're just, in your mind, you're like, wait a minute, did I make the right choice? Mm-hmm. And if you feel that way, you're not alone. Again. All right, so let's wrap this up. Is there anything else that you want to add in?
Oh my God, I wrote down so many things. Hold on, let me get my one takeaway. I told my husband I wasn't going to make notes because I'm better at not making notes.
I stopped making notes because of that reason.
Yeah, I'm better at not making notes because I get all stressed out. But I think, okay, so my biggest takeaway is that I think this self-fulfilling prophecy is the worst thing in the world. And I think for me, the hardest part, it's like almost back to that imposter syndrome. The hardest part of success for me has been, but there are people who knew that I spent $20,000 in 1 year. They're going to judge me and they're going to tell people and they're going to be like, this fake beat. You know what I mean? But I realized the minute I start being honest about that, like.
But that doesn't mean that's who you are.
It doesn't define
That's who you were, but you're different.
Yes. And I will say, like, not to sound political, but the world is not in a race war, it's in a class war.
Yeah.
And when you did come from a very low class, I grew up with an addicted mother, like I grew up at the bottom, right? It was definitely harder. It will be harder. You have to work harder. You have to try harder. You have to overcome way more things with than somebody who didn't have that, but it's not possible.
No.
You just have to really want it and be willing to put in the effort. And so, like, my biggest takeaway is, like, your past does not define you. But be honest about it. Yep. Because the past is the past. And I think for a long time, I tried to, like, hide it. Like I said, when I moved here, I was like, yes, no one knows me. Like, they're not going to know any of my background. They're not going to be like, oh, is there septum together? You know, I could start over. But then I realized, like, I was faking it.
Yes.
I was faking it. Who you are. I was faking it. So I was like, look, this is who I was. I did all of these things. But then guess what? I didn't get a penny of financial aid. I have a 4.0 in my master's program. I do have an education, and I'm constantly growing, and I put purposeful effort into self-development and reading and learning every single day. And I know internally that everything I have, I worked for, and everything I'm going to have, I'm going to work for. Was it harder to get there than someone else? Probably. but I did it.
And
So
nobody can take that away.
nobody
from
can take that away from me. And it's almost like more of an accomplishment. So no matter where you came from, no matter where you're starting, I know I've talked to women who are like leaving their husbands and like, I literally have $3 and I'm leaving what am I going to do? And I'm like, you're going to start from here and you're going to take it one step, one day at a time. And it's going to be really hard.
Yep.
But if you're willing to put in the work, you will win.
And like you said, one day at a time.
One day at a time. The easiest way to crash a car is to look in the other lane. So don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20. Like,
Yeah.
that's the worst thing you can do. Don't compare yourself to anyone, period. Like, that drives me crazy. Why are you paying attention to them and not paying attention to yourself? You're wasting your energy and hours in a day on that person.
Yep.
Put your energy into yourself. And
they're not paying your bills.
And they're not paying you bills. And
Yes.
always go back to, I never seen a hater doing worse than me or better than me. And I have never had anyone else pay my bills. Who's paying your bills? The only people that matter are the people in my house.
Yep.
So when you start getting that mindset and truly believing it, like, you can't fail. The only way to fail is to quit.
Awesome.
So find your truth. Go back, like, get rid of your roles. Like, write down everything that you think you are. Cross out everything that's a role, right? Mom, sister, daughter, wife, boss, employee. And then you'll start to be like, oh my God, I forgot I really love camping. I really love cooking. I really like yoga. I forgot that I like to draw. Like, you forget yourself. And when you get back to that, all of a sudden, like, when you start to pull out your authentic self, you naturally win.
You just naturally
win. It just comes easy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
And thank you, mamas, for joining us as well. So we're going to cheers.
Yes.
Because I forget this all the time.
Cheers is my tag.
But cheers to mom empowerment.
Yes.
And being your authentic real self.
Absolutely. Awesome. Love it.
This is really good. I'm sorry. All right, so if you want to hear more about her story or follow her for more keto stuff, you can subscribe and like her page right here. She does also have a Facebook group, and this is her Facebook group right here. If you enjoyed the episode and you're ready for next week's episode, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you liked this episode, hit the like. If you want to follow the Instagram page for daily reels, again, authentic self and mom empowerment, here is my Instagram, and my Facebook page is the same thing. And if you want to be a guest on the show, please message me either on Facebook or Instagram, and I would love to have you. If you're not in the capital region or anywhere in the New York State, you can always do Zoom. I love to have Zoom people. And if you have something you want me to talk about, comment below. And as always, thank you for joining for the bestie vent session. May you continue to survive as a mom, because that's what we do every day, is we just survive.
Cheers.
Bye, bestie.